you ready to explore the exciting tech world like never before? Welcome to Better You, the podcast where we dissect the latest in business, technology, and startup trends, all with a keen focus on growth. So buckle up and get ready to stay ahead of the curve. Let's make you a better you.
Folks, welcome to another episode of Better You. I am your host, Neeraj. Today, we have a guest speaker who's also my role model in this space. His name is Sanjeev Mohan. His brand is known as Sanj Mo. And Sanj, do let me know if I'm wrong in pronouncing. Perfect. And I'm 100% sure that you guys already know him really well because he's a well-known person in the data and AI community. I reached out to Sanj because I wanted to know how he transitioned from being a technical guru into this space and the world he's connecting with so many leaders. He is an influencer in this data and AI community. So the way we're going to do this, we'll start with Sanjeev's personal story. I was just telling him that he's been to 115 countries. And personally, for me, that is just mind-blowing. That's a lot of travel. And would love to hear, what are the best countries, what are the not favorite countries of him. And then we will navigate a little bit into data and AI space. As we know, AI is a very hot momentum field right now. And then we will just wrap it up. Anything which Sanjeev can share from his side as part of his expertise in this area and also from the content creation. So Sanjeev, over to you, man. This is so exciting.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to do this with you. So thank you for having me.
So Sanjeev, let's start. I looked at your LinkedIn really carefully. I know we met at Databricks AI Summit. You started with DBase, databases, data field, being a technical guru at the early stage of technology. And now you are witnessing this evolving field of data and AI, especially because of the GenAI and large language models. Let's just take one step back. Tell us, how did you start your career? And then what inspired you to come on this side of the world?
Okay, so thank you for asking that. By the way, when I graduated a long time ago, we didn't even have computers. I did my electrical engineering, so I had to learn Pascal, Fortran, but I had nowhere to try anything out. So I ended up reading a book on DBase while I was waiting for to have coffee with somebody in their office. To be honest, when I graduated, I was not fit to be employed. I had no skills. I had nothing. Kids today do so much stuff at home. They have all these extracurricular activities. I had none of that. So I luckily got a break because I self-taught myself a few things like databases. I took a class on C. C was a very popular language at that time. And I got in. And this has been sort of my hallmark. It's like you learn, you have to stay curious. That is number one non-negotiable skill everybody should have. So be humble, be curious, just keep learning. And then the what got me to where I'm today is just say yes. There's this feeling that you should learn to say no. And I tell my kids, no, just say yes. What's the worst that can happen? You will break into sweat. Your hands will be like sweaty, palms will be sweaty. You'll have an anxiety, panic. Well, guess what? You will have that anyway if you don't have anything to do. So you learn on the job. Just push yourself. Be there. Just, I tell this to my kids all the time. Life is too short. And amazing things happen when you take that first step. I've said this on many podcasts. I'll repeat myself. Some people may have heard it. I start my day with two things: a blank sheet of paper and an imposter syndrome. And I go from there. And and I tell people, if you don't have imposter syndrome, I'm so sorry for you. Please go get one.
Oh my God. You know what? And the reason I say, oh my God, I know this episode is about you, but I do want to talk about a little bit on the imposter syndrome because I moved from engineering to sales. And as you know, sales is all about people building relationships. And Sanj, you won't believe. So my previous startup I was working with, Pravicera, I closed a very big deal And I took a leap from from engineering to sales engineering, sales engineering to sales. I started making a lot of money. I was a top performer for a very long time in my previous startup, and I'm still a top performer. But then something happened to me. I closed a very big deal with a very big company in Silicon Valley. And it hit me so hard because every salesperson I talked to, oh, yeah, I closed that logo. And every salesperson is like, that is our dream logo. How did you close the deal? Going back to your point, that's where somebody said to me, dude, you're going through imposter syndrome. And you know what? One of the reasons I am doing this podcast, I launched my own show because I still want to address that fear I have, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, all those things. I say, you know what? As you said it very correctly, and now I have more respect for you because I said it. You're my role model because I'm putting myself out to address the imposter syndrome. I did not know you have an imposter syndrome. That's amazing.
So let me just say an interesting thought that crossed my mind. So here is my iPhone. If Steve Jobs were alive today, and he was holding the latest iPhone, and he went to look at the iPhone he introduced in 2007, what do you think he would feel? Proud or embarrassed that, man, that was a product I launched? See, this is when we look back. So I'm so glad that you pushed yourself. You went from engineering to sales and engineering to sales, and you're doing your podcast. We look back to our previous work and we feel very critical about it. But that's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is, my earlier podcast, I wasn't that great. Even now I'm learning every single day. In fact, with AI around us, I feel I reinvent myself every few weeks. So when I look at my old self from even 2 years ago, it's embarrassing. But that's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is, you know what? I can believe where I am today. How far I have come. That's the important thing we need to focus on.
Yeah, that's brilliant. What I learned in life, that there is always something happens in life which transform you. So when I was in 2008, I got divorced, and then I went through my own transformation, my spiritual awakening, and then I learned about life that you are here to solve a purpose. Sure, money, pleasure, and all this great, but you have a bigger purpose. And if you can work towards that purpose, you have a meaningful life. And for me personally, there is a story, but I want to actually hear your story. What exactly triggered where you say, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go and do this. Start connecting more people, start connecting with more people. What is that story which triggered that decision?
So I didn't have any massive setbacks or issues. It was literally, as a dad of 2 kids, you spend an inordinate amount of time worrying about your family, their well-being, and things like that. That's what I did all my life. I feel compromise things in order to make sure the family came first. So in 2021, my second kid was in college at that time. The first one had graduated. I paid her last college tuition, private school, private college tuition. And it's all of a sudden a light bulb went inside my head, and it said, wait, I don't have to make money to pay college tuitions and pay the bills. I'm ready to take a risk. And I have to say that there is no such thing as it's really late in my life. I'd always worked. I'd never been an entrepreneur in my life. I was already in my mid-50s. And I thought, you know what? If not now, when will I do it? So I'm just going to give it all up. And I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm just going to live. In fact, people ask me, what is your strategy? And I think strategy is one of the most overrated things. What is your vision? I don't know. I live day to day. Every day, so when you live in the present and you enjoy what you're doing, then doors open up. And, you may have a vision. In fact, so many times I'll talk to entrepreneurs. They'll say, I really set out to do X, But in that journey to achieve X, I discovered Y. So much for my strategy, so much for my vision. So living in the current moment, but don't shy away. Just say yes, keep doing stuff, and then everything else will fall in place. So I started my company in 2021. It's now 3 years. Just a few weeks ago, it was 3 years since I started. I needed a name. I was like, what name should I choose? I knew for a fact whatever name I choose must have data in it because I live and breathe data. That's all I do. And I started looking and I got disillusioned because they weren't that attractive. So I thought, you know what? I just called my company Sanjmo. So many people criticized. I said, what kind of a stupid name is Sanjmo? It doesn't convey anything, doesn't mean anything. I'm like, it's a name. Maybe people will get used to it. Anyway, my whole life is just experimenting with what I want to do with myself. And lo and behold, I think Sanjmo's turned into some sort of a mini brand, and it makes no difference. Kodak was a name that was just invented. It didn't mean anything. And during the good old days of mechanical cameras, Kodak was the brand everybody wanted to get, right? So name is not that important. It's what you do with it and what you bring to your life every day. That's more important.
So true, because when Facebook came out, when I heard, I think it was 2007, first time Facebook, I'm like, what kind of name is this? The Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And then the Facebook didn't make any sense. But eventually, as you said, it's the quality that you bring to the table. People will remember your name if there's quality. And you have proved the brand because you are in literally every conference. You're talking to the leaders. You're addressing and answering those leaders' vision with their questions. And you have built an amazing brand as a Sanjmo. And when I heard the first time your name, Sanjmo, if you put H after MOH, the Hindi meaning of moho is love.
I never thought of it. Yes,
that's
more.
what.
Yes,
that's what it hit my head. I'm like, man, that's a pretty cool name, Sanj Moho.
Yeah,
Mo is love. Yeah.
Thank you. So, see, the thing I want to encourage people to try being an entrepreneur. It's not for everyone. I couldn't do it when my kids were young. So it's easier said than done. But here's the difference. When I go to these conferences, I've been going to these conferences for a long time, by the way. But in my previous role, I could go, sit back, absorb what people were saying, and then just walk out. And I had no deliverable. I had nothing, no commitment. Now I have to prove myself. So I'm not only sitting, I'm taking copious notes, I'm asking a lot of questions, sometimes agitating the CEO of the company with my questioning. And then I have to write my blog, I have to record a podcast, I have to do all these things. So it's not that easy. But the difference is that when I attend a conference now, it is so much more meaningful than it used to be because I'm giving something back. So that's a beauty of being very intentional in what you do.
You're so correct. Like my idea, and a lot of people won't like this, but my idea of attending conference is all about party. You learn, you connect, and party.
But do all of it. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But when you are in the position where you have to gather the content and you have to create the content, that's a whole different landscape. And I think that's a really good segue for us. So you have expertise in data, I think over 30 plus years of experience in data itself. And I think I started my career as an Oracle database guy in early 2000s. And then we all witnessed how we moved from data to big data, Hadoop, and NoSQL databases. Then now everybody talks about Databricks, Snowflake, cloud native data services. And the next thing is, or the current thing is the GenAI and so on. So the point is, we have seen the evolvement of this whole data landscape. So Sanj, I think in this particular segment, I would like to tap into a little bit more, as you are talking to so many leaders, where are you seeing the data platform and the AI and GenAI piece evolving?
So Gen AI is right now. If I were to say the shine is off AI, but that doesn't mean things will change rapidly. It, to me, this is the same story I lived through during dot-com boom days. World Wide Web, e-business, e-commerce was going to change everything, most transformative. And actually, it did. But we went through the bust. So when the dot-com bust happened, I don't know, were you working at that time? Those were...
I was at the early stage of my career. Yes, very
I
early
see.
stage.
So
Yeah.
those were so dot-com boom days were one of the most lucrative and most fun times for me. I got transferred to London to run the office for this company I was with called Scient. And then we came back with tail between our feet because the whole thing had crashed and burned. And it was a very, very hard time, I have to say. Jobs disappeared, but the innovation did not stop. Same thing is happening with AI. I am a firm believer that in the next couple of years, we are going to see AI agents be hugely transformative. You work for a company that has a data transformation copilot, right? So it's an agent. Actually, I told them, yeah, I call it an agent. They're like, no, agent. Nobody knows about agent. But anyway, again, it's a name. So whatever we call it. But now let's get back to data. So while I'm a big firm believer that AI is here, it's going to be transformational, and we haven't even seen, we cannot even imagine how transformational it'll be at this point because it's still very much in development. Who knew in 1999 when a super well-funded company called Webvan failed trying to deliver groceries to your home, that 20 years later, we will all be living off Instacarts of the world.
Yeah.
Right? So same thing, I believe will happen. But how it's going to happen is not through AI, it's through data. Data is a secret sauce. I like to say the only moat a company has is not LLM, it's not your people, it's not the money, it is your data. Because it's easy to raise money. There's a lot of automation going on. LLMs are a commodity at this point. They already are. But data is your differentiator. How good your data is and how you leverage that data is what's going to make you a winner compared to the others.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I do want to double tap into this conversation about the agents, because every big organizations that I'm working with, their marketing teams, they have stopped using the word Gen AI. All they are discussing is agents, AI agents, because you are absolutely correct. Eventually, the noise of the base models will settle down. On top of that, vertical AI will come in, and the vertical AI is all about the agents, right? I'm a huge fan of RPA, and as part of the RPA, the robotic process automation, if you can put the intelligence into it, which is the AI piece, you have an amazing startup where VCs can fund and you can solve an amazing problem. So you're absolutely correct. AI agents is the next thing which people are looking at, because as they are not moving away, they are moving on top of Gen AI and / LLMs. Actually, that highlights the next piece. Cloud, like for example, Microsoft, Google, AWS. Microsoft has a significant investment into OpenAI. AWS has into Anthropic, and Google guys has their own Gemini platform. And fifth, Perplexity and something else, Hugging Face, something else will show up. The point is, based on your experience, based on the conversation that you're having with the leaders, where do you see these hyperscalers playing a role as part of providing that base models where people, more entrepreneurs, they can build their agents on top of it? What's your take on it?
So I think it's more than models. Hyperscalers are right now in unenviable position. They are literally killing it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why I say that is because these hyperscalers have figured out this. You're talking about the vertical piece. They've figured out the stack. And the stack is not a separate data stack, an AI stack, a DevOps stack, an LLM stack. No, it's all just one. And so if you look at Google, for instance, you can bring your batch, your streaming data straight into BigQuery. BigQuery, you can call Gemini as a user-defined function. You can do sentiment analysis, recommendations, but you can now also do vector embeddings, semantic search, and you can. There's a AI framework on top. You can build, deploy, distribute your AI code, AI data products, or AI agents right on top. If you look at Microsoft has Fabric, which is literally an amalgamation of many, many different products. Like instead of going to Synapse and Azure Data Factory and Azure Data Breaks, now you got Fabric. AWS, same thing. They've got Data Zone. They've got their entire. So they've got Anthropic. They have their own models. Through SageMaker and Bedrock, they give you this opportunity to create your own models. So this is a reason why these companies, these hyperscalers are working so well, because they're giving you the models and they're giving you the tooling that goes around it. They already had the data estate. That doesn't go away. Like, in case of Amazon Redshift or even Snowflake, Databricks, I mean, they all run on these platforms. So now they have completed the story and they have all the moving parts in place. Of course, if you want to expert data ops or you want a low code, no code data development tool, then you would go to Prophecy or you would go to some other product. So you will always need that specialized tool, but for out of the box, they have it. Now the big question is, who comes next after these three hyperscalers? Which is the next? Is it Meta? Is it Open? What is it? The X.com, so Twitter.
XCI.
XAI. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Is it OpenAI? Because they
yeah,
bought Rockset, for
yeah.
example. So now
They
they bought a
did.
database company. Although they're not using the database, they got rid of the database, but they got the manpower, which is most important, the mindset of data people. So you've got like all these companies that are knocking on the door because they're all trying to build all the missing pieces in their vertical stack like the hyperscalers have.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. So I did one of the episodes from an expert from NVIDIA.
Hmm.
Um,
NVIDIA.
he's
Yep.
he's expert on the AI infrastructure. Of course, we didn't go into into the details of NVIDIA, but we more talked about what does it take to build that base model infrastructure and how expensive that initial layer is. I mean, if you look at Zuckerberg, what he said is Mark Zuckerberg made the statement, I think a few months ago. He said Meta can take over the whole AI landscape, but Wall Street should be ready that Meta will be spending or maybe spending $30 to $40 billion a year to just process all the data, right? So that the crazy cost piece is which everybody from the Wall Street is looking at all these hyperscalers, because they know that everybody wants to, like Microsoft, Google, and AWS or Amazon. And for example, as part of the Llama initiative, Meta, right? All these companies, they want to take over AI, they want to be the winner, but they have to spend that billions of dollars. So I think everybody's watching the cost component, because there's literally no ROI yet, right? Because everything is in beta or MVP stage. It's not in production, and these companies are there trying to monetize so that they can show some ROI.
So, Neeraj, it's very important to separate out what's going on in the market, because there's training and then there's inference. Training is definitely tens of billions of dollars. I think I saw Mark is saying by the time he gets to Llama 5, it'll be billions of dollars to train. So that's training. And that training will be done by only a few companies. In fact, I wonder how long will... maybe Anthropic is doing amazing work. Their cloud models are outstanding. But XAI just came out with Grok 2 a few days ago, which is now all the way up there. So I think a company like all these companies that are training models are going to be in a lot of trouble in the future, like Cohere and AI 21 Labs and some of the smaller ones. I don't know how they'll find money to train and compete. Like I said, LLMs are commodity. But on the inference side, the cost is not that high. And I think we will see the cost come down even further. For example, there are new chips like AMD has now chips. So that's where the money will be made. The ROI will be calculated by the businesses, the end users, and maybe it's productivity of their people, maybe it's new markets, customer service. We're already seeing ROI. There's no question about it. Klarna, some of these companies, this is a 6-month-old story now, how much money they've saved. So it's like we're hearing a lot of how much money these companies are starting to save, but that's an inference side.
Yeah. Before we go into your personal journey, going back to your personal journey, I do want to help share this. I think security, compliance, all these aspects, that not giving my personal information or not giving my personal information by mistake to a prompt, I think that plays a huge role. And the moment, these folks, they figure out that I can assure to Sanj or to Neeraj or any enterprise that the compliance and security is there, we are willing to give our data to train more, build better prompts on top of it. What's your take on the security compliance piece?
So, beginning of this year, 2024, I published a document which was kind of with a co-author, the brilliant guy. His name is Rajesh Parikh in Bangalore. So he and I collaborated on what you can call it a manifesto for 2024. So in that, it's a very popular paper. In fact, I think a lot of hyperscalers and companies actually read it over and over and try to build. So basically, I came up with 10 predictions with Rajesh. 4 are rising and they're all AI. 4 are stable and they're all data, and 2 were declining. So in the rising, I said there are a few predictions. One of them is this unified vertical stack I talked about already. Second is personalizing your AI, and that is RAG, vector databases, and things like that. Agents is number 3. Fourth one is governance, security, compliance. I have to say now, 8 months later, out of these 4, 3 have come true, and we're doing immense amount of work. But AI governance is still struggling a bit. We're still trying to figure out how to regulate this stuff. And I think what has happened is the amount of time it has taken us to become productive on AI has been far longer than what we thought. The whole idea was 2023 experimentation, 2024 go production, but we're not going production. The cost is too high to train models, for example, even inference. So security, compliance, privacy is still work in progress. And my theory is most of my clients are still trying to figure out what to do with AI. So how do you govern and secure when you don't even know what you want to do? What is the right use case? Is the right use case to summarize my documents and create frequently asked questions? For some, yes, but what is the ROI in that? But if my ROI is in go through millions of medical journals and use LLM, Gen AI to try to find the next drug or mitigate a disease or decrease the time to get FDA approval for a new drug, that is monumental. And we are still trying to figure out that what are the killer use cases. So security and compliance will happen, but somehow they're not happening right now. We still experimenting.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned about the use case, because literally every industry vertical that the leaders I'm talking to, based on their industry, their own personas, they have exactly the same use case. I want to build more prompt. Somebody can just write a question on the prompt, and should just go through all this, our internal warehouse, knowledge warehouse that they're building on top of the, as you said, mentioned vector search and all that. The prompt should be smart enough for my business to answer that particular question which I'm asking the prompt. As a closing statement on this topic, I strongly believe that private LLMs are going to play a huge role in next 6 to 12 months. What's your take on it?
So I mentioned that there are 4 rising trends. One of them is personalizing AI. That is private LLM. So it is fine-tuning or training your own model or using a vector with few short prompting, in context learning, or whatever it may be. So I put private LLMs in that space. And I think it'll be a combination of RAG and your own fine-tuned LLM. So you would take a base model, which is open source, like Llama 3.1, and then you would say, here is my data, now train or fine-tune it for my data. So that is a private LLM, and that is
exciting
going
stuff.
to be big. Yes.
I know one company who is doing it where I saw this UI. What they're doing is on the left-hand side, you can match DBRX, Llama, OpenAI, and so on. And you can just select the model that you want to use.
Yeah.
It will use the data, your own data, and it will show you the performance and quality of those prompts, and you can choose the model that you want.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah. A final segment of our episode. This is very exciting to me because I love to travel. I don't get a lot of chance to travel a lot. So I was telling you, me and my partner, my fiance, we have this goal that we want to do 2 international trips every year, but we are so much stuck into the rat race. We don't end up doing 2. We do like 1, maybe. You have gone to 115 countries. How did you do it? What is your best? Please walk us through. How did you do this stuff? 115 countries.
So, even if you go on one international trip, you can go see a lot of places. For example, one of my trips was to the Balkans. So we flew to Slovenia, then we took a train to Croatia, we went to Dubrovnik, a short bus ride, couple of hours took us to Montenegro, into Bosnia, into Serbia, Kosovo, so Macedonia. So it's like 12, 13 countries in just one shot. I don't believe in short vacations. Actually, now I don't. Since as I became independent, I haven't taken any major. But before that, we went to Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. 3. They're all right next to each other. So it may be one trip, but you can do multiple countries. We went to East Africa, southern part of Africa. There's a lot of planning, reading, researching that goes into this. I believe in budget traveling, so I never even get a travel agent. I have my own travel agent. In fact, the funny thing is, I do so much research, not as much these days. When my kids were young, I used to do a lot more. Take off for like a chunk of 2 to 3 weeks because you need that much time to cover a lot of ground. By the time I would finish the trip, I can confidently say I could be a travel agent or a tour guide for that. Because I'd read history books, I'd read Lonely Planet, Photos, Rough Guide, literally, and I used to write for Lonely Planet. Then I would contribute back to them.
Oh my God, love it. And now you can just go to ChatGPT or any of the platform. You can just ask the question,
correct.
Hey, I want to go to Europe, plan the trip for me. And life is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. Sanj, thank you so much for making time for me. And I'm sure I will see you around in one of the conferences.
Yes.
Click a picture and we just stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
This was fun.
Thank you.
And as a closing statement, I do want to say, I think we have a bigger topic to talk about in one of our next episodes. We should go a little bit more on the paper that you published in January with Rajesh. I think I will take that paper, I will read the paper, and I may come back to you to do an episode on it, if you're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just today, Rajesh and I were discussing a follow-up paper. We are already months late writing the follow-up. But this one is going to be what are the steps you need to build out an AI agent. So
Brilliant. Do you have a timeline on it?
Yeah, the goal is to finish it this month, which is August of 2024.
That would be amazing, because that's exactly what everybody's looking for. That,
thank you.
The foundation white paper or paper that, hey, how to do this stuff. Amazing. Sanj, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Better You. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into today's topic and found some valuable insights to help you on your growth journey. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a review and share Better You with your friends. Together, let's continue exploring the exciting world of tech and business. Until next time, stay curious, stay innovative, and keep growing.